Hello, everyone, and welcome to Destination Certifications, Why You Will Pass the CRISC Exam. I'm Kelly Handerhan, and I have been an instructor of various information security classes and risk management classes for the past 20 years or so, certified in CRISC and lots of other stuff. But ultimately, what I'm here to do today is to help you pass the CRISC exam. So let's talk about it just a little bit. What is the CRISC certification? Well, it stands for Certified in Risk and Information Systems Control. And this comes to us from an organization known as ISACA. The focus here is on enterprise IT risk management, using technology in relation to the enterprise as a whole and their business objectives and helping us adequately manage risk. So it's not just a technology focused exam. It's not just about security controls. It's all about understanding the business and the processes that we use to incorporate risk into our decision making. So a question I get a lot is the CRISC tough? Yeah, it is a tough exam. It only has between a 50 and 60% first time pass rate. So that's not particularly high. It's not bottom out terrible, but what it tells you is you really have to go in with the correct mindset for the exam, right? So you really want to stay focused, and that's what I'm here to help with. So why are you going to pass the CRISC exam? I have the utmost faith in you. You are going to pass this exam. Why? Because you're smart enough. You're smart enough to do this. You've got this, right? All of us, when we go into certification exams, what if I don't pass? What if I don't pass? What if I don't get it? You got this, okay? And the reason I know you've got this is, first of all, you're going to study. And you're going to study good material that's going to help you understand the principles of the CRISC certification. And then also, you're going to follow the tips across the next handful of slides that are going to make sure you're thinking about things the right way, okay? So this is why you're going to pass the CRISC exam. So you've got to remember what we're trying to solve, what the question CRISC is asking you. How do you help leadership make informed, risk-based business decisions about technology? And I don't typically read slides, but I think that's a really important phrase for the CRISC certification. Helping leadership, advising leadership, right? Helping them understand the risks associated with business decisions related to technology. That's what we're trying to demonstrate here. So one of our first focuses is we're going to keep our focus on value delivery. Remember, in cybersecurity, we don't generate profit. We don't get to charge somebody to come in and look at our firewall rules because they're so well written. We don't generate profit. So what do? We deliver value. And value helps us accomplish our business objectives and goals, and helping senior leadership see how cybersecurity and risk management helps us accomplish our goals and objectives, helps senior leadership get on board with any endeavors we might undertake and any processes with which we need support. All right, so we're also going to make sure that when we talk about risk, particularly technology risk, that we talk in terms of the business. We don't talk in terms of jargon. We don't mention the latest malware, ransomware attack. We don't talk about Heartbleed or any of those, recent attacks that we might hear in relation to cybersecurity. What we talk about is reduction of loss. We go back and look at incident reports from the past. And we look at historical information. We look at the loss that we've suffered due to cybersecurity incidents. And we talk about how our endeavors are going to reduce that loss. And we frame things in terms of cost-benefit analysis. CRISC loves some cost-benefit analysis. What's in it for me? How do I get more out than what I'm putting in? So when we frame our decisions and our endeavors in the framework of value delivery, return on investment, we're more likely to be successful. All right, how does security impact our reputation? We shouldn't have to be making this argument today because we hear about so many exploits in the media and the impact that they have. But that's something that speaks to leadership, because when you ask an organization about what their most valuable asset is, many times they'll say reputation. So how can we help avoid reputational loss? And then, of course, Compliance is an important issue. We have responsibilities to be in compliance with laws and regulations, industry standards. Information security, cybersecurity can help us accomplish these goals. Focus on the stages of risk management. CRISC focuses on ISACA's 4 stages of risk management, starting with risk identification. And to identify risk, we look at assets, we look at threats, and vulnerabilities. And where we have those 3, we have a risk. Now, once we've identified our risk, we want to get a value, a loss potential, because I'm going to measure up the potential for loss with this particular risk event with the cost of the countermeasure. Why? So I can make a good cost-effective decision. And my risk responses are going to be to accept a risk, to find a way to reduce it, to transfer, share it with a third party, or to avoid the risk altogether. And when we avoid the risk altogether, that's really the ultimate in risk reduction, right? And we mitigate the risk. Risk reduction and mitigation are often used interchangeably, but I wanted to put both of them there just so you'd see them. So really, reduce, accept, transfer, and then ultimate mitigation or reduction is risk avoidance. All right, and then we continue to monitor. When are you done managing risks? Never, ever, ever. You're always going to be monitoring for risk, and you're always going to be evaluating the threat landscape for changes. We're also monitoring to determine, are our controls meeting their objectives? That's what it means to have a successful control. Is it meeting its objectives? And we have to continuously monitor to determine that. Now, another key principle you're going to remember on this exam is governance beats technology. A weak governance can't be fixed with technology. You can throw all the firewalls and all the encryption schemes and all the identity and access management controls in the world, but if you don't start with governance, with frameworks that are not just approved, but are well accepted within the industry, and then we use those frameworks to determine what our policies will be. We have to focus on ownership. Who owns our resources? Who owns the data that we're protecting? And how do they decide? How do they make good decisions on the right amount of security for their data, for instance? Because security always has a trade-off, and it's the owner that can appreciate the trade-off and make good decisions the best. And then we have metrics for our security controls. We want to know if our controls are effective. How do we know that if we don't have metrics, if we don't have expectations for those controls? So putting good metrics in place and measuring to those metrics will help us determine if our controls are effective. Now, another couple of tips, we want to make sure that we understand accountability versus responsibility. And accountability is the ultimate decision maker. They're the ones when you say the buck stops here, those are the folks that are accountable. And you should only have a single entity accountable for risks. Now, we'll have multiple people responsible because responsible folks are the worker bees. They're the ones who carry out the work that's necessary. So if you were to see a question like who is accountable for security in an organization, that's senior leadership. Who's responsible for security? That's everyone. Everyone is responsible for carrying out the policies, procedures, standards, and guidelines that those accountable have set in place. So that's an important difference for the exam. Make sure you know that. All right, some other ideas. Take a holistic approach to enterprise risk management. Think of the organization as a whole. So I'm not asking myself, do we have a firewall? I'm asking myself, do we have proper security governance in place? Are we aligned with those business goals and objectives? Do we have appropriate processes that satisfy and support the objectives that governance has laid out for us? What about our organizational culture? Are we in alignment with good risk-informed decision making? Do we respect security within our organization? Is our culture in alignment with our policies? And then, do we have the skill set internally to carry out the policies, to carry out the procedures, to follow rather the policies and carry out the procedures? Do we need training? Do we need to outsource some responsibilities? Or are the tasks in front of us capable of being done in-house? So these are questions we ask. Remember, we're not systems admins anymore. We are risk executives advising senior leadership and making sure these elements are in place. Always think process, not problem on the exam. We're not running around putting out fires. We're not just throwing Band-Aids on issues that come up. We are focused on long-term or strategic solutions. I'm not so worried that a system has malware on it. We can fix that. I can re-image that system or restore back to a golden image just like that. What I care about is where did our change management process, for instance, fail, so that we were able to get malware on a system. Process, not problem. Follow our processes and inspect our processes, audit our processes. Other tips, make sure we honor change control and separation of duties. We're not running around making changes that we're unauthorized to change. And we have a clear path of reporting in relation to risk management. Don't forget your job. Risk executive. Keep that as your key focus. All right, layered defense. How important is layered defense? You're not going to have a single control that is going to be able to eliminate risks. As a matter of fact, we typically don't talk in terms of risk elimination because there's so many risks that are out there. But we're likely not even going to have a single control that's going to adequately mitigate risks. So we have a series of controls. We have managerial controls, policies, procedures, standards, and guidelines. Things like separation of duties, I just mentioned, acceptable use policies, strategies for onboarding and offboarding. We have operational controls that we put in place, things like training and incident response. And then, of course, we have our technical controls, but we never go to technical controls first. Technical controls are absolutely important, but they're driven by the needs of the organization, and we focus on the organization and business needs first. Another tip, CRISC loves some formal documentation. Look for answers that stress the importance of documented processes, frameworks, procedures for approval, sign-off from the appropriate parties. Formal assessments, evaluating, are controls effective? Are they in place, first of all, and are they effective? And we'll talk about verification and validation. Reporting to the board, keeping the board informed of risks and our risk posture, and ensuring that we stay in compliance with our desirable risk appetite. Talk about those terms in CRISC. And then, of course, our risk registers, this being a central document that we use to document risks within the organization, to keep track of risks. We use them so that at any point in time we can know the risk status, risk ownership, risk strategies. So these become very important documents. And then I want to wrap up by saying these are the CRISC golden rules. CRISC promotes, first and foremost, a risk strategy that's in alignment with our enterprise objectives. Start with understanding the enterprise before we jump in both feet with developing policies or implementing controls. Focus on governance and process. It's about the business. It's about having support from senior leadership and helping them understand how we're going to deliver value within the organization. Involve our business owners. They're the ones who own the assets typically. So they should be in charge of decision making. They're typically those that are accountable for the protection of assets. And then last but not least, metrics. Metrics are really important. Formalized analysis and metrics that we can act upon. We'll talk about the idea of SMART objectives with our controls and with our metrics. So that becomes important so that we can justify, again, the decisions that we make based on risk. All right, so I hope that was helpful for everybody. Just kind of an overview on why I think you're going to pass the CRISC exam. It's because you're smart enough and you're going to follow the suggestions that I've given you in this video. You're going to keep this mindset intact when you go in for the exam. Also, we have some more information on the CRISC exam strategy and just some general good information you can take into the exam with you. If you'll click on the link down below, we're going to help you in every way that we can and support you to pass the CRISC certification. Once again, I'm Kelly Handerhan, and thanks for watching.